I met Alara on a rain-drowned evening at the edge of New Kyoto Station, where neon signs flickered like tired stars and the air smelled of ozone and street food. She was standing under a broken holo ad, silver blue light sliding across her face, looking utterly lost. That was the first thing that drew me to her. Not her beauty, though she had that in an otherworldly way, but the loneliness in her eyes, as if she were watching a universe that had already moved on without her. She spoke perfect Terran standard, but with a softness that made every word feel chosen carefully. She said she was new to Earth, working with an off-world research delegation. That wasn't unusual anymore. By 2167, Earth had become a crossroads for alien cultures, refugees, diplomats, and dreamers. What was unusual was how intensely she listened when I talked, as if my ordinary life, a systems technician, recently divorced, no grand destiny, was something precious. We started meeting after that. Coffee turned into late-night walks through the city's upper levels, then into quiet dinners in my small apartment overlooking the mag-rail lines. Alara never seemed rushed. Time bent around her, stretching comfortably, and when she smiled it felt like the world slowed down just to watch. She told me her people were long-lived, that they valued emotional bonds more than politics or conquest. I told her about my failed marriage, about how humans loved fiercely but burned out quickly. She touched my hand then, cool but gentle, and said, "Perhaps that is why your species is beautiful. You love knowing it will end." I fell in love with her faster than I thought possible. When she asked me to marry her after only 6 months, I didn't hesitate. Interspecies marriages were common enough, though paperwork heavy. The ceremony was small, just a few friends, a holo priest licensed by the United Terran Council, and a simple ring she insisted on wearing, though she didn't need it. She said it mattered to her. Symbols mattered. Our life together was peaceful. Too peaceful. Maybe. Alara never slept the way humans did. She would lie beside me, eyes closed, perfectly still, breathing so softly I sometimes wondered if she breathed at all. She never ate much, preferring nutrient infusion she kept locked in a small case. And she avoided sunlight, claiming her species had sensitive skin. I told myself not to be paranoid. Love had taught me trust again, and I didn't want to poison it with suspicion. The first crack appeared a year into our marriage. I came home early one evening to find our apartment dark, the power cut. That alone was strange. Alara was meticulous about systems. As I stepped inside, I heard voices. Low, panicked, alien. I froze in the hallway, heart hammering. In the living room, 3 figures stood around Alara. They were tall, gray-skinned, with elongated eyes that reflected the emergency lights like mirrors. One of them spoke sharply, and Alara answered in a language that made my head ache, syllables vibrating in my bones. Then one of the figures lunged. I didn't think. I grabbed the shot baton by the door and ran in, shouting. The alien turned, startled, and Alara moved. She was suddenly everywhere. One moment by the window, the next behind the attacker. Her hand went through his chest as if flesh were mist. There was a flash of dark red light, and the alien collapsed, lifeless, drained in a way I couldn't understand. The other 2 fled, vanishing through a breach in the wall that sealed itself seconds later. Silence fell. Alara stood there, her eyes glowing crimson, lips stained with something far darker than blood. When she turned to me, the glow faded, but the truth didn't. "I can explain," she said. I dropped the baton. She told me everything that night. Her people were called a Vilith, an ancient species born under a dying star. They were not conquerors or tyrants, despite the myths. They survived by consuming bioenergetic essence, not blood, exactly, but life force refined through the bloodstream. Over millennia, they learned restraint, ethics, balance. They were functionally immortal. Alara was over 12,000 years old. The ones who attacked her were purists, violent extremists who believed interspecies bonds weakened their kind. They hunted those who chose to live among mortals, who dared to love beings that would wither and die. I never meant to lie, she said, tears finally falling. I wanted to be just a wife, just a Lara. I didn't sleep for days after that. Fear warred with love inside me. Every memory replayed with new meaning. Her strength, her stillness, the sadness in her eyes. She had watched civilizations rise and fall. What was I to her? A moment? A distraction? I confronted her with that question, my voice breaking. You are not a moment, she said fiercely. You are a choice. I have lived millennia without love like this. Mortality makes it precious, not disposable. But love alone didn't erase reality. The purists didn't stop coming. Over the next months, Earth became dangerous. Subtle attacks at first, surveillance drones, hack systems, anonymous threats. Then open violence. The United Terran Council demanded answers, and Alara was summoned before interstellar authorities. They called her a potential threat, a weapon, an immortal predator hiding among humans. I stood beside her through every hearing, every whispered accusation. I spoke when they asked why she should be trusted. Because she chose us, I said, because she loves this world enough to be vulnerable in it. The purists escalated their war, attacking diplomatic hubs, framing Alara for massacres she hadn't committed. It became clear they wanted her dead, or was captured and turned into a symbol. The final attack came on a cold morning when the sky over Earth split open. A purist dread vessel emerged from hyperspace, blotting out the sun. Its weapons charged, aimed not at cities, but at Alara specifically, a planetary execution. There was no time for evacuation, no time for debate. Alara kissed me then, gently, sadly. There is something I never told you, she said. A bond ritual. If you choose it, it will change you. I knew what she meant before she explained. A partial transfer, not immortality, not fully, but longevity beyond human limits. Strength, resilience, time. Why didn't you tell me before? I asked. Because I didn't want you to choose it for me, she said. I wanted you to choose it for yourself. The dread vessel fired. In that moment, I understood something simple and terrifying. Love was never safe. It was never meant to be. I choose us, I said. The ritual burned like liquid starlight in my veins. I screamed as my heart rewrote itself, as my body adapted to something ancient and alien. Alara held me through it, her own strength shaking as she gave up a part of herself forever. When the purest weapon struck, Alara stood between Earth and annihilation, and for the first time in her long life, she was not alone. Together, we pushed back, not with brute force alone, but with resonance, our bonded energies amplifying each other, creating a shield that wrapped the planet in shimmering crimson light. The dread vessel cracked under the strain, folding in on itself like a dying star. When it was over, the purists were gone. Their ideology shattered along with their flagship. Earth was saved. The aftermath was quieter. The Council revised its laws. Alara was no longer an anomaly, but an ambassador, a bridge between species that feared what they didn't understand. And I, no longer fully human, not fully violent, became something new. We moved away from the city to a coastal settlement where sunset stretched endlessly over the ocean. Alara still avoids the sun, but she watches it from the shade, her hand in mine. I will age, slowly. I will die, someday, century from now, if the science is right. She will live on, but now, when she looks at me, there is no loneliness in her eyes. I married you for love, I tell her sometimes. She smiles, ancient and warm. And I stayed, she replies, because love was finally worth eternity. In a universe full of immortals and empires, that choice, fragile, defiant, and human, changed us both forever. Chat G,